Hey, I'm Lerp, and I analyze indie games for developers, provide feedback and all that kind of good stuff. And this is Rocket Shipment. It's a very smooth and solid physics puzzle game where you fly around a little spaceship and you snatch up crates and plop them down wherever they belong. Sounds simple, but it's actually pretty fucking difficult at times. There's a ton of little obstacles you might encounter, from doors that can be locked and you gotta go find a key, drones and turrets, constantly depleting fuel, and tight corners. You can customize every pixel of your ship, including removing them, which is kind of an odd choice since it doesn't change the collider, but I did make an invisible ship and flew it around for a little bit. There's a decent-sized campaign that doesn't have any story or anything, and it doesn't need to be played in any kind of order, but it is a really good way to kind of better your skills and learn all of the different mechanics. And you can also customize levels and play on other people's creations. I made a good handful, and the level editor is pretty easy and intuitive, if not kind of bland a bit. It's really fun to play overall, and the controls are really tight, but you gotta be really careful all the time. Like, the ship is maybe overly fragile. Like, even when turning around, you kind of turn faster than your ship can handle. So you gotta be really careful if you're just even too close to shit. So it kind of always felt like it was my fault, but also maybe it's a little too fragile, but also that's where the difficulty is, of course. The biggest issue this game has at the moment is that it's just so bland. It's like unbuttered toast. There's no decor, only necessary objects, and we're just in realistic space. Like, there's no meteors or moons or nebula. Like, there's nothing going on in the background whatsoever, so it's just kind of The theme of the game seems to be going for a kind of Windows 95 sort of look, but to even hit that kind of nostalgic feeling really well, we gotta throw on a bunch more post-processing that's just not here right now. And even if you did, it's not really like a style that gives a game identity. Like, even games in 95 had some sort of like theme or style going on, but there's nothing really here that separates Rocket Shipment from just any old pixel space game. Everything pretty much feels like the safest possible choice, which leaves it even less memorable than something that missed the mark entirely. Imagine a Ford Tempo. Most people don't even know what a Ford Tempo is. It was a good car, but it's just whatever, you know? Meanwhile, PT Cruisers, which were definitively hated by most people, we all remember them, and some people did love that weird-ass design and would have died on a hill for it. So even missing the mark when you're trying to shoot for a style, it tends to be better than just being plain. Judging from how the game is laid out and the way the developer was excited for the creation of things, I would probably recommend a crafty kind of theme, you know, things like Little Big Planet or Ultimate Chicken Horse, where we get this sort of building crafty vibe throughout the game. And then it can be sort of like a spaceship Little Big Planet kind of deal, you know? The level editor could have significantly more options, like death walls or instant loss crates, and changeable rules like different gravity levels or fuel options, crate weight or thrust power, player durability or time limits. There's tons of different things that we could allow players to change about a level, and it could make it a lot more interesting in that way. It also needs more customizable options like decorations. That's the kind of thing that lets players feel like a level is really theirs, you know? They get to make it weird and more about them, less just, land and shit. If you don't want to make a bunch of decor, that's totally fine, but then you just have to allow for some small custom tile decorations like Animal Crossing has, as well as making them either passable or solid objects. And then it's on the player on whether or not they want to make it something that's obviously passable or not. It could be like seaweed, it doesn't fucking matter. But now players can make the game theirs, they can make levels theirs, and they can create a style that they want to inject within the game. So when I first came to the level editing community, it was basically non-existent. I think there was 5 levels, and I think I've made 5 or 6. But that kind of non-existent community, when it's available, is kind of a problem. It makes people feel like their levels aren't worth putting up if they aren't good enough. It makes the game look extremely dead. And people only have a handful of creative ideas to utilize from the campaign for their levels, whereas there's plenty of other weird little things that you could do even just as it is. From the levels that I made an auto level, I made a simple race and a spiral, I made like a little obstacle course where you have to like squeeze through some shit and play basketball. Some look pretty mid, some I took some time to make randomly pretty with what I could utilize. But really there should just be like a fair amount of levels to have a base for players to feel comfortable and to start getting creative with. You know, you just want to like show off small gimmicks or other weird little things you can do in the game, and that'll help, you know, bolster the community a bit. Also, to just, you know, push that customization theme even further, you could allow for the player's ships to have different base templates and more options like a hex code map or a fill tool and an undo option, maybe different thruster options. A lot of people, especially mainstream players, they don't want to like recolor something pixel by pixel. Like, they're pretty fucking lazy. No offense to most people. Another kind of like issue with the blandness is that there's no other additional game feeling other than the general physics. Like when we hit things, we kind of just dink off them and float away. And it doesn't really feel like it matters that much or like it was any kind of importance. Like, we really need that feeling of impact. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Some developers pause the game for a frame. You might add a little bit of screen shake or a little bit of sprite shake for a brief frame, or even like a little ghost trail. The icons for the lives could like shake before exploding or popping rather than just vanishing. You could also make fuel canisters explode if you drop them too hard. Or when you get hit by bullets, you could get electrocuted instead of those impact frames. Dying itself should feel like an epic failure, whereas it literally feels the same as being hit normally. You know, we could explode or implode. Like, there's literally tons of ways to increase the game feel for Rocket Shipment, especially just because where we're at right now with this game, it's sort of just empty of it. One other thing I do definitely want to point out, like that it kind of goes into the game feel, but also is just kind of important in general. The crates don't really provide the correct feedback for how damaged they are. Like, you pretty much don't know if it's fully damaged unless you just keep smashing it in a mush, and then it's not breaking more. So when the crates break, there should be some better form of feedback, like maybe some light starts seeping through or something, just to, like, you know, really show off the damage of the crate. All in all, though, this game was really fun. Like, I had a really good time with it, and it needs more, you know? I want some avocado on my toast or some shit, you know? Like, put some fucking beef stroganoff on there. Like, it's just toast. That being said, I do love me some good toast. If you've made it this far in the video, make sure to leave a like. Tell me which one of my ideas you think is a stupid idea, and tell me what you would like to see put into this game, you know? What would you, if you've been seeing it, what would you do with it, you know? If you were making this universe, what would you want this universe to be like, you know? You know? Bye.